Hello and welcome to Called Bang Sports. My name is Nathan Mortensen, and today we're going to talk about the Utah Jazz beating the Cleveland Cavaliers by a final score of 109 to 108. And frankly, this was really nice kind of change. The Jazz have lost 3 games by 1 possession this year, but this is the first game they were finally able to win in a tight one. And while it definitely got a lot tighter than I think most of us expected to when the Jazz had that 15-point lead and seemed to be putting the Cavs away, it's a win is a win, and there's a lot to talk about here. The first takeaway that I have is, wow, is Rudy Gobert the best defensive center in the league? Like, bar none, no doubt about it. I've heard a lot of talk about Cleveland's 3 7-footers. I did some checking. It does look like the 3 guys people are talking about are all 6'10" or 6'11", but that is a really tall set of guys to deal with, especially when Hassan Whiteside is out with injury. So the Jazz didn't have a lot of success in this game running Rudy Gay at the center. And frankly, this isn't really the situation where the Jazz should be trying out small ball. And obviously this was out of desperation with not only Whiteside being injured, but Doak also being injured. So I'll be interested to see how long Whiteside's out. I haven't necessarily heard anything about that, but Gobert did a lot in his limited time. In his time on the court. Let me double check. I believe he played 38 minutes. So that is definitely above his average, which, just to verify, he averages, does it give an average number of minutes? He currently is averaging 31.6 minutes. So he did play about 6.5 extra minutes, which is a significant increase. I mean, that's about 20% more than he typically plays. So seeing him be able to do that while avoiding foul trouble in this game, he had 0 fouls, which is an absolute blessing, especially after the Boston game where he almost fouled out in that one. So while he didn't have a lot of points, he did snag 15 defensive boards, 5 offensive boards for a total of 20 boards. And he had a big block at the end. And the best defensive play by him all game, I believe, took place with about 3.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where he defended the drive, tipped the pass, blocked a shot, rebounded and saved the ball. And he did save it to the Cavs, and I believe they ended up eventually scoring on that possession. But what it showed to me is just Rudy Gobert's ability to make multiple actions, to be able to move with the ball, to use his length to disrupt passing lanes, and just shows why he is the center to this Jazz defense. And yes, there are ways that you can take him out of the Jazz's defense and show the weaknesses of the other players. But when he's playing like he's playing tonight, and he is definitely in prime position to succeed with how many big guys the Cavaliers have, there's no one better at it in the league. And frankly, on this earth, he is very key to who the Jazz are. And I'm excited to see him to continue to develop here. My second takeaway is, let's see. On the positive note is that the Jazz's 3-point shooting appears to be back. They've been hitting more than 40%. Tonight they hit 20 for 48. Absolutely just being incredibly accurate. And frankly, when you look at it, there's really only one player who had a pretty off night. You have Royce, Bojan, Conley, and Mitchell, who all were over. Bojan wasn't over 50%, but he was 4 of 9. And you had Rudy Gay coming off the bench, hitting 3 of 7. And then Clarkson and Joe had a rough night. Clarkson was 1 for 8 and Joe was 1 for 5, but you can live with their misses when other players are shooting so well. And that's what the Jazz were really struggling with at the beginning of the season, is you had the majority of your players having bad 3-point shooting nights. And that just led to the Jazz not being able to score enough in certain games and not being able to pick up the win. So overall, this game is a large positive when I look at it. It was definitely closer than I think it should have been, but the Jazz did only play 8 guys in their rotation. Excuse me. They only played 8 guys in their rotation. They typically play 9 guys for the majority of the minutes and then bring someone in like Trent Forrest or Mia Oni to pick up a few minutes here or there. So I do wonder how much of this was possibly some conditioning where the Jazz just got tired in the fourth and ran out of gas. There isn't any discussion to be had about road trips or anything like that. They've been at home for the majority of the past few weeks, but things happen, and I'm sure that getting used to playing a couple extra minutes, while it might not seem like a big deal, can be a really big challenge. So the last thing I want to discuss is that the Jazz continued to still really struggle with turnovers. And I do think some of that might have had to do with the exhaustion, but that is what allowed the Cavs to come back and eventually take the lead. Thankfully, the Jazz did better than they've done in previous close games, like against Memphis and against New Orleans, and pulled it out and had some solid defense towards the end and were able to win it. But there is still a lot for the Jazz to improve on. Mainly still what Dale and I have been talking about being offensive rebounds and turnovers. So offensive rebounds weren't nearly as bad tonight. I believe the Cavs did get 2 more than the Jazz, but the Jazz and Cavaliers had the same amount of rebounds overall. So that's nothing to write home about. Rebounding was a wash for today. And when you're playing a team with as many 7 foot, really tall guys as the Cavs have, that's what you should expect. So overall, happy that the Jazz were able to pull this one out. Yes, would have been nice to beat the Cavs by more points, but they are the 4th ranked defense in the league. So the fact that the Jazz did have a lull there does speak to still some offensive struggles, but overall, really good win for the Jazz, and they're they're off to a great start this December. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment what you think about the Jazz and how you think they're going, what you think about how the Jazz are doing, how they're going to do against Philadelphia this week. Please like the video, share it wherever you're at, and thanks again for watching.